We've got the Fuksaw, Tansaw, the hook in the wrist out here, below the solar plexus. The Bonsaw raises up and protects the line of your head. This also can be used as a strike. Hey guys, Greg Fraser here. Today I'm going to talk about some techniques that I've sort of stolen from Wing Chun, from my days of training in Wing Chun. 4 techniques that I think are extremely useful, and you'll see them everywhere in the Jing Shen system. The first one is called the Fuksaw. To do the Fuksaw, it's as though you're pulling a string from your solar plexus or from the center of your chest, and you're getting this nice hooked sort of position right here. So if I pull that string out, the thing I want to do is I don't want to leave the elbow outside. On all of these techniques, the key is that the elbow is inside the wrist. Elbow inside the wrist right here. Fuksaw here, you can see like this. It looks very similar to if I was doing a Muay Thai clinch. You'll see it turn downward where I'm using it as a hooking type of technique. We also have it as a cover. Now these may have other terms that Wing Chun diehards want to use, but basically I just classify it as a Fuksaw. Anything that's hooking, pulling in towards you, whether it's a clinch, whether it's a hook or a cover, or what you'll see later on is the up and over. That's the first technique. In order to get it, again, it's pulling out. What you're looking at doing is pivoting the elbow in. Notice how my shoulder drops a little bit, and I pinch the side of my body a bit here. That allows me to get that elbow into the center. You may have to at first pull your elbow over to get to this position. All right, that's a Fuksaw. The second technique is very easy. It looks like a tray. I turn it over and I edge it out a bit. So you can see my hand is sort of not just flat, it's hooked, because it's going to be this section of my wrist that I'm going to hook with. And this, once again, you can notice that if I go straight off here, that the elbow is still inside of the wrist. So you got Fuksaw, flips over to Tansaw. From there, the next one looks like I'm doing a corkscrew in position. I'm going to turn it over almost like I'm going to start a swimming stroke. Now the way that a lot of Wing Chun does it is they'll turn their Bonsaw right about here. Shoulder level, and I use it as a nice guard right here, immovable elbow, and they pivot from the shoulder. When we use it, we tend to use it as a position of moving away, okay? I'm clearing, and I may use this as a guard across somebody's chest, as a nice deflection as it's coming up. The Bonsaw looks similar to a front crawl swim stroke, so you can think of it as that. What I want to do is turn it over. I want this wrist portion in the center of my body, of whatever position I'm doing here. This is the Bonsaw. Again, it can be used to pick up, to roll off, but typically as you're doing it, you're going to see my tilt going to the back here. I'm getting my head away and out of range of attack in case we're doing weapons and so on. The next one is the Garsaw. So it's here. Where the Bonsaw is going out, the Garsaw is pulling back. If I'm going to do a elbow picks and so on. That's using it to pivot somebody, to turn them around. But those are the essential ones. So let's look at that again. We've got Fuksaw coming off, turning into the Tansaw, rolling over to the Bonsaw, and then back into the Garsaw. You've got Fuksaw, okay, which turns into Tansaw, which then turns into Bonsaw, and then finishes with Garsaw. Those are 4 techniques I want you to learn. Let's go a little bit of details into that. So the Fuksaw, if you're practicing at home, pull it away from your center of your chest, and then as you're pulling away, the elbow's tucking into your solar plexus, and we've got the hooks. We've got one which could be a high Fuksaw, which may be a Muay Thai clinch. It could be me hooking somebody in, catching a wrist and so on. It also can convert to a trap and pull or an up and over, where I'm deflecting a strike and coming back out at you, okay? It could be a cover. This is what we represent as a Fuksaw. Anything in this position where the elbow's in, I'm down it. Then it switches over. You flip over, and the Tansaw is created. Now, Tansaw is here. What we want in the Tansaw that we use is we want to make sure that the Tansaw ends up at the solar plexus or the rib line of your opponent, and that your hand is actually, if you had a tray right here, they call it tray position. But if I had a tray, I don't want the hand to go up like this where it's going to pour down anything off a hot skillet onto me. Okay, what I want to do is, if it's going to pour, I want it to pour away from me. All right, it comes down into the solar plexus. I'm going to pivot this over and move away, and this is your Bonsaw right here. That could be used to deflect and stop incoming techniques and so on. We want this bent elbow. We don't want the elbow on any of these techniques right here to break that 90 degrees. You want beyond 90, as we call it. When I was in college, we did it as a study, and it was actually 134, 135 degrees in the bend of the elbow that you're looking at. That'll give you best positioning. The reason for that is if you're taking an arm wrestling position and you're just about to be taken down, you know that little angle right there, it's about 135 degrees, is that holding point. Same with here. When this goes in, this should be a nice solid position. It's a locked elbow, it's a movable elbow, and I can brush it either way once it's in motion. From there, the Garsaw is simply to hook and pull. So I'm pulling somebody back, rotating them, and so on. Again, we've got the Fuksaw, the Tansaw, the hook in the wrist out here, below the solar plexus. The Bonsaw raises up and protects the line of your head. This also can be used as a strike. I can hit as a downward palm strike and the Bonsaw strike as well. And from there, if I'm grabbing them by the back of the neck, I can pull them in with that Garsaw right here. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. If you guys do Wing Chun, tell me what you think of the difference between the way I'm teaching and the way you have studied it. Thanks, guys.